Okay, hopefully we're live.
We are.
We are. Yes, I can see us. Guys, can you let us know if everything's okay? This has been drama. Um,
New stuff, new stuff.
New technology, so we're gonna have some little glitches, basically, but hopefully this will be better in the end.
And let us know how the sound is. Let us know if there's any echoing. We were having some echoing while we were setting it up. I don't know what we can. Does it sound fine? All right, he said it sounds good. So, yay.
Yeah, cool. Don't know what we did, but it's working.
That was only a little bit painful, right?
Yeah, I think we were only a minute late, which is pretty good going.
Absolutely. All right. So, did we end up even doing we didn't end up doing a Wednesday post. So this is just Q&A.
No, we did. There's a Wednesday post.
Oh, there is?
Yep. It should be at the top.
Oh.
Oh, we're hearing it's a bit quiet at your end, Gillian. Let's see if I can put some things up without ruining it. Is that any better? People, let me know.
Let us
Oh,
know.
now we've got an echo. Um, or did we always have an echo?
I'm not sure. Mr. Moore, are you getting an echo? Can you keep checking? We're sorry, guys. No
Oh,
echo, but quiet.
okay. This is very weird.
People say that they can barely hear us. Do you need the link?
No,
for some reason it had last week's Q&A and it had the little live.
Echo from Starla. Not okay.
Yeah, there's your voice does have an echo.
All right.
Just Starla's voice.
Pam, do you have the option to mute yourself?
It's a pain in the butt, and it'll probably mute you.
Yeah.
I was going to say maybe we could do it back and forth where you mute yourself while I read a question, and then I will mute myself while you answer it. Will that work?
Good. Oh, did that work, guys?
Okay. All right. So I'll go ahead and start pulling some questions. Hopefully by next week we have this totally figured out. I'm going to pull some questions and then I will pass those to Pam and we will try it this way. Let me know if you guys are able to hear me now, if it's gotten any better. Hopefully it has. Thank you guys for being patient and working with us and helping us through the tech bugs as we work with a new system. So Anna over on Facebook on our Wednesday post had asked, let's see, the view counts for my products are bigger in eRank stats than Etsy stats. Any ideas why this might be?
Now the echo.
Right, we are we good? um, are we good? Okay. The stats. I was kind of listening and tweaking things at the same time. Right. So the stats are different in Etsy and eRank. That could be a couple of things. Firstly, are you looking at the same time period? That is very important. Usually, eRank's going to be telling you for the lifetime of your listing, and Etsy will be telling you for a time period that you've picked. Um, the other thing is difference between views and visits. Etsy is very confusing about the whole thing. It gives some data in views and some in visits, so make sure you read and check that those are lined up and working okay. They're the right things. Because if one is showing visits and one is showing views, then that'll be that'll be different numbers. And otherwise, if it really is different, then don't forget to drop a message to the team with the little icon at the bottom right of eRank and let us know, and hopefully people will be able to figure something out if it wasn't either of those things. You got any other ideas, Starla?
No, I'm offhand trying to manage on my end trying to figure things out. I did, somebody had said, can you move your mic? My mic is my webcam on this computer. So next week we might attempt to do it from my desk over here.
Yeah, it sounds like her audio is coming through in two places at the same time. Like the mic
Yeah.
is coming in, and then it's also coming in through a separate thing.
We'll talk tech later. We'll figure it out. All right. So next question was from Thomas. There's two questions here. What do you think is more important to offer if a shop cannot afford both free shipping or a newsletter discount? Those are two very different things. Free shipping is a great incentive when you are, trying to capture the attention of casual shoppers who are on the platform. It serves one purpose. Offering a newsletter discount, that's a different, you're trying to have a different result there. Building up a newsletter is so that during, for example, right now is a pretty slow season on Etsy because we're in spring. That's so you can kind of direct some of your own marketing and create your own marketing funnel so you can send traffic directly to your shop. So, which is more important to offer? I mean, it just depends on what your objective is. Are you trying to attract more organic customers who are shopping on Etsy? Try the free shipping. But a newsletter discount, that is more of a long-term big goal strategy for the longevity of your business. For example, if your Etsy shop were to ever get shut down for any reason, or if you decided you just don't want to sell on Etsy anymore and you want to run your own website, all of your customers, or your most important customers at least, you'll have them on your email list and you'll be able to say, oh, I have moved. You can now buy my products here. So it neither is more important than the other. Um, Obviously setting up free shipping in your Etsy shop is going to be quicker though. So I would, maybe try that for a little while if you want to, while you work on your email list. There's a lot of legalities that come from running an email list. So just make sure that you're looking up things like the Canned Spam Act. If you're in the US, you want to look up some FTC laws related to email list marketing. And if you are working with anybody, in the European Union, you need to make sure that you're looking up GDPR. We have a lot of similar laws in the US for GDPR as well, just in terms of data protection. And I'm sure that many countries are probably going to follow suit. So just make sure that you're doing your research there. Let me go ahead and
Um, we might be okay. Try it and see. I randomly clicked some things. So guys, can you? Well, I'm seeing saying that Starla's voice is okay. So let's see if we can both be
I
on.
still hear the echo on my
Oh, drat. Okay. Um. Odd. I clicked stuff and randomly, and everyone's saying it's okay. But yeah. As for the question of sales or mailing lists or whatever else, it's up to you what works best for your business strategy. As Starla says, there's lots of hoops to jump through and things to check, but you don't have to offer anything if you don't want to. You could offer different things rather than money or amounts off, or if you really can't afford a little discount or something, then maybe your prices are too low. So yeah. Um,
Yeah, I'm going to echo through Pam's speakers every time that Pam is unmuted. So that's why occasionally you'll hear it if we don't hit our mute button in perfect sync. So yeah. Why is any amber jewelry immediately deactivated? Because a child died with an amber teething necklace, and Etsy has not perfected the art of their algorithm that identifies what is a chipped amber bead, whatever the specific size they said. We just had a hoodie deactivated because one of our keywords is Amber, which is the name of the other person running the shop with me. Her name is Amber Marie, and the hoodie got deactivated for Amber. And there's no Amber because it was just her name. So it's best to just not use the word Amber in reference to name, color, or jewelry. But it is important to be aware of why. So, okay. So Thomas's other question was, POD stores can't do branded packaging or freebies. How can they substitute for it to make the experience feel more unique and premium? So, it's really hard with POD shops because unless you know by ordering samples how those packages come, delivered, which I would definitely recommend making sure that you're looking at samples. If you're working with Printify, join the Printify POD Rockstars group, because one of the main purposes of that group is people will order their own products, um, and see how they come packaged, and then they post their reviews of those types of products in the group, so you can search whatever specific product. If it's like a Gildan soft tea, you can search, or Bella Canvas tea, you can search those keywords in their group and see people who have reviewed very specific types of products, how the prints came out, how they came packaged, what the quality was like, yada yada. So that's a great resource for you. If you are working with Printify, you get a discount on samples, I believe 20%. And you can order one sample order per month, right? Or is it just 3 sample products? I think it's 3 sample products per month. But either way, it gives you an opportunity to see how things come packaged. Printify specifically is made up of lots of individual print on demand services. So everything that you get from Printify is going to be a little bit different. That's why it's really important to order your samples. Printful, on the other hand, is one company that prints. They have multiple warehouses, but because they are one company that prints, you can actually warehouse through Printful. You can send your own business cards to them. If you want something extra thrown into your packages, there's a little bit of customization. You do have to pay for that. You have to pay for your warehousing space, but it is an option if you want to, include some things. But with Printify specifically, it does get a little bit harder, and Printify has so many different vendors because they have so many, cool products. So my big suggestion is, you already talked about an email list. That's a great way to connect with your audience, because ultimately you are losing that benefit of having any customization with your physical branding and marketing material. You're not going to be able to include business cards. You're not going to be able to have pretty branded tissue paper. You're going to have to create an experience through other means. Maybe you have a super cool Instagram account where you do little live streams and you answer questions, and you show off the design process. You have to figure out what your cool little quirk is going to be as a business owner that's going to get people engaged with your brand, if you want to be an engaging brand. And unfortunately, like I said, packaging just can't be one of the things that you can incorporate in, which does kind of stink. But I do think that many Etsy shoppers are coming to expect it, just because there are so many POD services on the platform now. But it is a good idea to see how packages come, because I know that their mugs will often, there are some companies that'll send it like in just a styrofoam cube with the sticker right on the styrofoam, and I would be pretty mad if one of my packages came like that.
Yeah, that, as Starla says, there's very little there. The other thing to think of is what their experience is like in your shop. So your message to buyers, what they're reading in the descriptions and everything, and yeah, try and get them away into your mailing lists, your social media, and everything. That's about it. But Starla's more the expert on print on demand than I am, for sure. Right, back to Starla.
Yeah, we actually, if you guys want to mark your calendars, there should already be a link on their channel. But next week on the Printify YouTube channel on Thursday the 8th, not sure of the time yet. I think it's probably around 2 p.m. We are going to be doing a free SEO webinar over there. So might be something cool to hang out and watch if you guys are interested in that. In fact, Pam, we might skip Q&A next week to do that instead and just drive everybody there, because it'll be the same day. But there's going to be lots of giveaways. Oh man, I can't even tell you guys what I'm giving away, but it is worth like way over $1,000. So, and Printify is giving a bunch of stuff away too. So make sure that you mark that on your calendar, even if you're not in print on demand. The things that you're going to be learning are great for any business model, and you can win some free stuff. So Okay, we are done with our Wednesday questions, which are questions that we get submitted early into our Facebook group. If you guys end up having any questions that you want to ask, you're now free to just put those right into the chat. I'm going to go ahead and scroll through and try to find some that we might have missed. Okay, Mabel the Woodle said, is there a way to see my best sellers on eRank? Pam, do you
Actual sellers, not to be able to filter for them and see the number of sales. I believe that's just down to, at the minute in time, how Etsy gives us that data. It's quite intensive, so we would slow down eRank. But what you can do is, if from your listings, active listings page, if you sort by number of views, or that usually would be your listings that have the most sales, and then when you go into the listing audit page for that, you'll see how many sales you've had. This is something we've been asking for a while, but unfortunately it's just literally, you've got shops with tens of thousands of listings that have had hundreds of thousands of sales. We would blow up Etsy if we did that, unfortunately, or that's my understanding just now.
All right. Next question. Is it better to list as a group or each item on its own? Well, this is an example I give all the time. So those who watch every week, you're probably sick of hearing this one, but imagine that you are standing on the lake shore and you're going fishing, right? And you've got one fishing pole in the water. That's your one listing. That's one opportunity to get found by fish. Okay. Now imagine that you listed those products separately and you have lots of fishing poles. Well, that's a lot of different opportunities, and you can use a lot of different bait on those hooks, a lot of different keywords, a lot of different ways to attract different types of shoppers by experimenting with different search terms. So there are benefits, but there's also some disadvantages. Obviously, benefit is that you have a lot of opportunities. You're casting a wider net. Disadvantages, though, are that if you know, for example, if you are listing pillows and the pillows are pretty much the same, except, you know, you've got a couple different color variants, and you try to split them all up separately, maybe you end up with a shop that has 6,000 pillow listings in it, and then you have to pay 20 cents per listing and it gets really expensive. In that case, I would say probably just have them set as variations. I used to sell birthstone jewelry. I'm not going to list every birth month separately. That's 12 different listings per, you know, item that I'm selling, per piece of jewelry. I would rather have the jewelry piece, you know, whatever pendant it is by itself, and then let them choose the color birthstone that they want. So it really just depends on what you're listing. Is one better than another? Not particularly. It just depends on, you know, how it looks in your overall shop, how many listings it's going to create when you're separating them all out, if you're willing to pay the 20 cents for all those, if it makes your shop look super overcrowded. And really, you also want to think about your customer. What makes it easier for them? Is it easier for them to choose from a little drop down menu and select the color that they want, or the type of item that they want? Or is it easier for them to view everything on your storefront, maybe because you've separated them out into your little categories? Yeah.
Yeah, totally agree that it depends on how many items. Like with Starla's shop, when she's talking about birthstone things, that might be a thing that you would have the individual listing for a certain birthstone if the birthday was just coming up. But you wouldn't necessarily have all of them, because obviously people are searching for the birthstone in the month or two before that birthday a lot more. So you can be strategic. So if you have 4 or 5 variations, that can easily be 4 or 5 listings. If you have 200, probably pick the most kind of popular one, put them into groups, say groups of colors or sensible dates or all sorts of things. Although I might be wrong. I read the question a little bit different though, so I'll answer the different question. I'm seeing Starless narrowed eyes. This is funny. Yeah. what I thought was, if you have a lot of listings, is it better to, because I've heard this question a lot, we both have, is it better, like if you have 10 listings that you want to list, is it better to list all 10 on the same day or to space them out? Which is so let us know which question, but we'll answer both because we're here anyway. And again, this one depends. If you don't have many items in your shop, it's an idea to get stuff out there so you at least have a few things. And if you're a rock star like Starla, who has a big following, and you can say, I am dropping my special launch on Tuesday, and you drop a whole lot of things all at once, fantastic. But there is a bonus to when you create a new listing, Etsy gives you a little boost in search. So if you're a little guy and you have, say, 10 listings, it might be an idea to list them one today and it gets its boost and then drops down in search. And then tomorrow, list the next one. So you're keeping things fresh and turning over. If you have enough items in your shop, but you're kind of little and need a little hit with the algorithm. Well, that's my kind of plot. This is so funny. I can say whatever I want about Starla and she can't do anything yet. Right. Okay, back to you, Starla.
That's okay. I was accused of drinking beer just now on stream. So that's, I swear, it's seltzer water. It's very refreshing and there's no calories or alcohol in it. Though apparently we need alcohol for this stream. Look at Pam. Pam's not getting accused of drinking anything. Maybe that's a Long Island iced tea that she's over there drinking. All right, let's see. Okay, this is a good question. Pam, one that you're probably better at answering because you've answered it so many times. Let's see. Why did your worldwide and US ranking change? We were in the top 4,000 and went back to the top 20 or 20,000th. Yeah. Pam, do you want to handle that one?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, Etsy, basically, the short answer. But what happened was, Etsy updated their API, which is where we get all our data from, and they dropped in a whole load of extra shops that they hadn't been showing us about. And as this happens, there's new shops opening, there's old shops leaving and stuff. So basically, we they updated the API. We lost the what you call it, the bad buyer check, but they did give us something extra, which was more accurate data, which we thought it was accurate in the first place, but we've got more accurate. But yeah, sorry, the short answer is absolutely Etsy. Nothing bad. Your shop hasn't actually dropped. It's just we found out about a whole load more shops, unfortunately. Anthony did a big post explaining this a bit better. I'm not sure where that is just now, but it should have been on your announcements in eRank at some when it happened. But yes, we're sorry for everyone that did see a drop. All your competitors will have seen a similar thing. You're still doing awesome, but I know it definitely looked a bit bad. All right.
Yeah, you are exactly where you were before you saw the drop. It's just we've got more data, and to not add when we're given more data by Etsy, to not add that would be dishonest. We have to, when we get something new from Etsy, it's yay, that's a great thing. Just this particular thing unfortunately had a lot of people mad because they thought that it meant that eRank was inaccurate, and that's not the case. We just sometimes we get new stuff from Etsy and we gotta incorporate it in when we get it. So let's see. Isabel asked, let's see, how long does it take listing changes to be recognized for the algorithm? Titles, tags, both. Thank you. So changes are recognized right away. You might not rank very well right away. And Anthony has, our CEO, has always said that if you make change and you want Etsy to kind of take note of it a little faster, you can go ahead and pay the 20 cents to renew that listing. You know, just to kind of give Etsy a little kick in the pants to say, hey, look at this, I changed my keywords. Just make sure that you're not doing the schemy thing that everybody was doing a couple years ago, where they would go in their back end and select all of their listings and renew them every single day. Etsy doesn't like that. But if you're actually making a change to your listings, it should be fine to go ahead and renew. Um, Now, it's funny. Pam and I were just talking about this yesterday, because we have always talked about there being the 60 to 90-day window that it takes Etsy to assess your listing quality score. I met with Anthony yesterday. We talked about it. We went through all of Etsy's articles. We're unable to trace where Etsy originally said that. Um, and we know that they said it because everybody says it, and Anthony specifically remembers it. But now we're playing this magical game of where can we source this from. So um, we're looking into it, trying to make sure that nothing has changed, that maybe Etsy's gotten faster and we just haven't heard about it. But for your actual question, how long does it take for changes to be recognized? It should be pretty quick, but Anthony says that if you want to attempt to speed it up, renewing that listing is your best bet. Just don't go in there and change like your Etsy tags and titles every day, because that's not good for the algorithm. It does take the algorithm a little bit of time.
Yeah, absolutely. I play around with these things and test them all the time because I have no life. And literally, when you change your titles, you put in one of these mad keywords to test it or something, and then relist. It takes somewhere under 15 minutes to literally you be showing up. I don't know 100% if you just change without relisting. It does hurry it along a little bit. But the algorithms are pretty quick. They're checking these things all the time. The other kind of cool reason for renewing it is if you've changed your titles or your tags, you're hopefully aiming for different keywords. Now, Etsy tells us a new or a relisted listing gets a little boost in search for it to decide if the keywords are any good. So if you've changed something, it's a good idea to do that, to basically say, hey, Etsy, what do you think of this? And the reason Starla is quite rightly saying you don't want to keep on renewing it, you're saying like, oh, I'm getting a boost, this is great, I'll keep on doing this. It's a kind of law of diminishing returns. If you've not changed anything and Etsy's given you a boost, then it's going to go, oh, we tried Pam's listing for that kind of thing. It sucked. We're not going to give it so much of a boost. And then each day it will just go, no, we know you're rubbish for it. So if it's something new, relist and say to the algorithm, hey, what do you think of this? If it's not new, Etsy's already tested it and it isn't working for whatever you tried, basically. But yeah, how long is pretty quick. Right.
All right. Jessica asked, let's see. I asked in the Facebook group about trying to niche down. I knit/crochet, and my main focus lately has been preemie hats, but I've also crochet stuff for kitchen and home. Is that still niched enough? So once again, this is something that I covered on my video on Tuesday on my YouTube channel. Knit and crochet is not a niche. That is an industry. One of the big things that I've been trying to cover on my own YouTube channel lately is the difference between a niche and an industry. Shirts are not a niche. They're an industry. Mugs are not a niche. They're an industry. Crochet, knitting is not a niche. It's an industry. Preemie hats is a niche. Kitchen crochet products is a niche. But you can create your own niche. You can carve your own special place. Who are they for? Are they boho style, maybe? Are you creating them for what's the grandma keyword, Pam, that I keep wanting to say grandma core, but I know that's not it.
It was cottage grandma, wasn't it?
Yeah, cottage grandma. Maybe you create crochet products for cottage grandmas or cottage moms, and then you align your branding with that aesthetic, and then you're creating a variety of products all crochet themed, but there is an underlying theme or an underlying lifestyle. And keep in mind that creating define niche does not exclude people who aren't in that niche. If your theme is cottage grandmas, that does not mean that people who aren't grandmas can't shop from you, nor does it mean that they're going to see your shop and say, "Oh, I'm not buying from her. I'm not a grandma." That's not how it works. We've all walked into a store that, you look around and you're like, "Oh, wow, this is not my aesthetic, but I love that, that piece of artwork on the wall." Um, for example, I will take my daughter into the little bubblegum pink teeny bopper stores at the mall that are clearly not for me. They're for children. But sometimes I'll find a necklace I like and I'll buy it. And I know that it wasn't made for me, but I liked it enough to purchase it. So niching down does not mean that you're eliminating people who are not within your niche. It's not gatekeeping. It's just helping the people who are trying to achieve that aesthetic. It's helping to really call to them and call to their values so that they see your shop and they think, wow, this is really nice. This is where I am meant to shop. So you need to figure out what your cohesive element is. Maybe it's a color palette that you use for all your products. Maybe your overall message is that you create eco-friendly kitchen products so that people don't have to use, like, I don't know, as many paper towels or something. So you make crocheted paper towels. I'm making things up at this point, but you have to figure out what it is that you do and what's important to you, and how you can tie your existing brand into that, as opposed to eliminating products from your current product line. You can usually find a way to make things kind of fit together. For example, Pam, she makes little needle felted dogs, but she doesn't make bookmarks. She's not a bookmark shop, but she was able to incorporate in bookmarks by making little needle felted doggy butt bookmarks. So here, Pam, I'll let you.
I have no little butts kicking about here, actually. They're all sold. Um, I have the daftest little story. I shared it once before, but I'll share it again on that really helped me understand the whole niching thing. Now, it's not niching for a whole store. This was a company thinking of how to niche for an advert. So this is a very kind of similar thing. You have to think of what your target audience is for that advert. And so many people will say, well, my item's for everybody. And they mess up a bit. So this is a product that the advert for it has been the biggest advert ever on Facebook. And it is, some of you will all know it, it is for a product called the Squatty Potty. It's a thing to put under your feet when you poop, basically. So if there ever was a product that you would say is for everybody, it's that, because just about everybody poops. But they decided, an advert, it is best if you niche. So what they did for this advert was they found a niche of, they decided the furry community, which, don't Google it or whatever, but it's people who like dressing up in fursuits as animals. And they made they made an advert that you've probably seen. It's about a unicorn pooping ice cream. Absolutely ridiculous. And they sent this out into the furry community. But the fantastic thing is, if you niche something like this, these groups of people are all over the world. They're a small niche, but they all have friends and family and other people that they'll share it with each other. When they share it on Facebook and go, wow, this is so cool, all their other friends see it. So that's, a niche doesn't rule out anything. It just gets the focus group, that the furry people were more likely to go, that's amazing, I'm going to share that with all my other furry people. Totally, I don't know how we went from pooping, from crochet hats to pooping, but that's my take on niches.
Yeah, the Harmon brothers, they do a lot of fantastic advertising. You've probably seen some of, they did the purple mattress ads, they did Squatty Potty, they did the Poopery, which is like they don't specifically target brands dealing in poop, but it seems to, those are funny, products to sell, so they're able to make funny ads. But they have a book called From Poop to Gold, where they talk about unique advertising, basically. So feel free to look them up, the Harmon brothers, and that book. It's pretty cool. Okay, so Francisco had asked, Etsy has put one of my listings, a hoodie, under review. I have that same design on a t-shirt as well, but that one is not under review. What could be the reason? I just had the same thing happen to me. Just, if you're not violating any other rules, just, if you likely don't even have an option to dispute it, you just got to wait until an Etsy employee does a manual review on the product. Um, Often things that get flagged right now on Etsy are drawstrings on hoodies catered to children. If your hoodies are for children, or if you have a child size or any keywords related to children, that can get that listing permanently deactivated. Children's products right now on Etsy are being highly regulated due to suffocation risks, drawstrings, anything that could pose harm to a child. Etsy is automatically deactivating. So I'm advising that sellers, try to avoid products like this that could, pose a hazard to children. Or if you mostly have adult products because you're doing POD, for example, and maybe you just have one that is in a child size, remove the child size. I know that sucks, but unless you cater to children's products, in which case, you should also definitely be careful. But it's just becoming such a thing, or such an issue with it's an algorithm that's taking these down. It's not a person who's going through these listings. It's a robot that's saying, oh, yep, you look like you're selling this, we don't allow this. They put it up for a manual review, and then a real human eventually will look at it and decide whether or not it actually violates Etsy's policies. But I emailed Etsy when our hoodie got deactivated for having the word amber in it, even though it did not have, the gemstone amber, anything to do with that. And I explained that to Etsy very briefly and said, would it be more beneficial for me to just go ahead and remove the name Amber Marie from all of the listings to avoid it being flagged? And they sent me a swipe file that said that they are not going to communicate with me anymore, and that if I continue violating their rules, that they have the right to shut my shop down. So communicating with them is almost pointless anymore. We're looking into maybe trying to get a hold of the Etsy higher ups to see if we can get Etsy to offer some better customer service. But your best bet is to just wait until it gets reactivated. Pam, I'm sure you've seen a lot of this going on right now too.
Yeah, sadly, the thing is, whenever there's a need, I don't think any of us will disagree. There is a need on Etsy just now to crack down on the listings that shouldn't be on Etsy. Like, we've all complained about it. The problem is, to do that, there are millions and millions of listings. I can't remember how many it is just now. I did write that number down, but there's a lot of listings on Etsy. So it's impossible for humans to check every listing to make sure they're okay. So they're going to have automated systems. Automated systems suck. They literally are going to make mistakes quite a lot. If anyone, you're all on YouTube just now. 2 or 3 years ago, YouTube were throwing out automated systems to sort out if our videos were okay for monetization. It was a nightmare. Like, everybody was getting their videos flagged. Over time of us saying, no, I disagree with that. Can I get my money back, please? Over time, the system got better and better. It cost us all a lot of money. It cost YouTube a lot of money, to be fair, as well. So it got better and better. Now Etsy is at that beginning stage. Their automated system is like a drunk toddler. Let's be honest. It's just going, let's take all these things down, and yeah, that can be what's happening. So if there's nothing wrong with it, just sit it out. It's horrible hearing what Starla's saying, that the customer support is being so cruel. Like, there are so many of the policies. I contacted them for clarification on the Amber policy and some other ones because so many people are asking about it, and they just got back to me and said, like, yeah, we can't tell you anything about our rules. It's like, no, just be a little more clear, because people are really hurting to know. There's no reason why Starla's shop, who is with Amber Marie, a person called Amber, her shop should be whitelisted for the word Amber, because she's not selling Amber. She is called Amber. Yeah, sorry, everybody is basically all. We just have to message Etsy and hope that without keeping going until they say we're shutting your shop down, but just message Etsy, say what's going on here. Eventually the right people will start to hear and it'll get better. Yeah, Starla.
And keep this in mind for everybody who's like, Etsy needs to make automated systems that get rid of listings that aren't actually handmade. Well, who's to say that those automated systems aren't going to look at your products that are handmade and say, no, these aren't handmade, and deactivate those? Or an automated system, where it deactivates everything that is Disney themed. Everybody, says, why is there no automated system that gets rid of the Disney products? Well, what if you sell bangle bracelets and you just happen to have them laying in a pattern that kind of looks like a Mickey Mouse head, and the algorithm's like, yes, that's Mickey Mouse, that gets deactivated. There's so much that comes from automated systems, and we have to remember all the ways that they often fail before we ask for more of them. So you know what I mean? They're bad right now, and Etsy needs to perfect what they already have before they attempt to introduce any more. So this is an interesting question. Would you at some point rank by dollar sold instead of number of units? I'm assuming that he means sales rank.
That would make sense. That would be lovely.
Yeah, the issue I see with this though is your sales rank. What about, for example, a shop that sells several, maybe they sell like a $6,000 coffee table. You would never be able to compete if you sold, we'll say, $3 digital products. Sales rank, I believe, in any tool is defined as a number of units sold, right?
I think so. There's no right way, because also you don't know the profit somebody's got on something as well. So they could have sold a $6,000 thing and made a loss on it. Are they a better shop than someone who's selling something that cost them practically nothing and getting massive profit? It's tricky. But message at, well, hit the little button on eRank and leave a message, and Anthony will put it onto his never-ending list of things to think about for sure.
All right. Let's see. Why, since the day that Etsy made the update, my sales of 15 items per day fell to 0 when I didn't change anything? Okay, so Etsy hasn't made any updates. So likely what you're experiencing is what we call the spring and summer stall, and it affects all e-commerce. I just did a video on it on my channel 2 weeks ago. But basically, retailers, since the start of the internet, have experienced a stall starting in May through August. It is the time when people are going on vacation. They're spending time outside. They are saving their money. They're waiting until the holidays. They're not in front of their computer shopping. So, yes, it makes perfect sense that you're seeing less sales right now. Most industries are, and we can look at Etsy's quarterly report and see that right now we have seen a decline since a couple months ago when people were holiday shopping. My biggest piece of advice is to not sit around twiddling your thumbs during the slow period, especially when all your competitors are likely also experiencing the slow period. Work on external marketing, work on perfecting photos, work on anything in your shop that you haven't filled out yet, work on getting listing videos in, work on building up your social media accounts, and start planning for the busy holiday season. This almost is like a time to treat it as a business vacation. Your business is still up and running. It's running a little slower, as is everybody's. So unless you're selling, bikinis or something that's a hot product in the summertime, you've got a lot of extra time on your hands right now that you could be using to plan ahead. And in the meantime, you can supplement a little bit of your own traffic by driving from social media. I'm a big fan of Instagram for that, and Pinterest, because those are good platforms to start. Low barrier to entry, easy to gain an audience, and you don't have to invest ad money into these platforms in order to gain an audience.
Yeah, absolutely. On the Etsy didn't make a change, that, or rather, Etsy's always making changes. It's its job to make changes. Just just like us, you're saying you didn't change anything. Now, we do say you shouldn't be constantly tweaking your listings and everything, but all of us should be experimenting all the time. That can mean experimenting by trying different product lines, trying different colors, always trying something slightly different. So when I hear someone say, I didn't change anything, maybe also to ask why. Like, not on the listings that are working, but I have found actually very much this past year what people are looking for and what they're buying is a little different than it has been in other years. Um, and that happens. People change. So you can have a bestseller for 5 years, and then suddenly people stop searching for that word, or it's just not so popular. So you always want to be having something on a back burner. Like Starla was mentioning my bookmarks. I had the idea for that about 2 years ago. I said this is going to be that this is a really cool idea for a sort of viral product, and it took about a year and a half before it picked up. And at that point, the other things in my shop were dying off, but that picked up because I knew it was going to happen, but it took time for all the stars to align in the right place. So yeah, you've always got to be thinking ahead. Literally, as Etsy sellers, for most of us right now, we should be thinking of Halloween. We should be thinking of Christmas. It's that far ahead, especially if you do something like supplies for card makers or stuff like that. You should be so much in front of everybody. But yeah, Starla's got videos. Well, not just, a couple of months ago, we put up a video on this channel about what to do if your sales are low. And the reason myself and Starla know to make videos at this time of year is because we hear this every single year. And I know it sucks. And you might have had a good last year or a good year before, but overall, the retail is down. So if anyone's selling great, fantastic. You're lucky. Well done, basically. But keep it in mind that this is a quieter time. So one year you are going to get a dip at this time. Starla.
Yeah, and just a heads up, guys, I noticed a couple Halloween terms already trending for April. And we should have, if we don't already have it in, we should have it in today or tomorrow, but the May data will be in. So make sure that you go in and look at the new data and see what is new in our trends. See what, if you've got keywords in your keyword lists that you're tracking, if you've got some good superstar keywords that you're tracking, make sure that you go in there and check, because we refresh that data every month, and take a little peek. So Carol asked, does it make sense to relist items that customers are adding to their favorites, especially when the item has been up a few weeks? If they're favoriting the item and yeah, I would say that, especially since we know that people are kind of holding on to their money, maybe they're going to save it for a little later. Maybe they're planning on buying it later on. It's definitely showing that there's some interest there. You said that your listings are vintage and mostly unique. So if it's not affecting you any to have those items listed and you've got a lot of favorites, I don't see any problem in relisting them, because obviously somebody's finding them interesting.
I was just wondering if that question came when we were talking about relisting things as a strategy. Um, if it is, then no. If people are just, as Starla says, yeah, don't, if it's been added to the cart and stuff, don't let the listing just expire. That kind of relisting, absolutely. Relisting to get the bump in search, no. Because basically, the thing is, as we've said, people are probably not buying. They're probably not buying everybody else's items as well. So you're actually being seen if people are adding them to their favorites. You're in as good a place as you can be. And although we say the algorithm loves sales, it absolutely does. But if nobody else is getting sales and you're getting the views and the favorites, then the algorithm is looking favorably on you anyway. It's comparing you to everyone else, and it's not saying, oh, Carol's items are getting favorited and Starla's items aren't getting favorited, therefore Starla's are better. No, they're saying, okay, nobody's selling, Carol's is getting a bit more activity, so that's a good item. So it's in as good a place as it can be by the looks of things. And many horrible people like Starla use the favorites as a place to save things and to make like curate little inventories. So, yeah, people are weird like that.
Yeah, I favorite things that I have no intention of ever buying. I just do it because, oh, that's pretty. I'll put that in my favorites. Don't obsess over your favorites too much. But you can use them as an indication that someone found it interesting. So it might be a product that you want to leave, listed if you see a lot of people favoriting it. Let's see. My listing was favorited by a person that was deactivated 2 years ago. How could this happen? And I checked the listing. It is for sure deactivated. So it doesn't matter if it was deactivated, if they have favorited it in the past, or if they have discovered it through a past link where you've linked it on social media, that link will still be active. Or if you have a review on anywhere in your shop for that product where someone had purchased it in the past, they can click on that review and still see the product. I have a shop that I have not had open in 2 years now, and my phone is still constant notifications, even though that shop has been on like vacation mode indefinitely. I still get favorites on past products. So
Yeah, nothing to worry about. It's just normal. There are links. Your listings will show up in sold items and all sorts of places. And I know it's weird if you've never seen it before.
all right, let's see. I recently played around with one of my listings tags, and I see for one of the new keywords I'm showing up on page 2. So perhaps it may be safe to go change a few more. Yeah, why not? If it's, some listings that aren't getting any love and you think that you found a keyword sweet spot, definitely go and track them in the changes tracker tool first. Maybe track them for like a week just to kind of see what their baseline activity is. Then make your changes, and then start kind of paying attention every day just to see how those changes affected it. But absolutely, that would be the ideal scenario, is making tiny little changes here and there.
Absolutely. I mean, we do say if it's working, don't play around with your listings that are working. But if they're broke, if they're not working at all, then absolutely play around with them. This is the time to experiment, and that's a really good way. A lot of people will make changes and sit back and say, didn't get any sales, it didn't work. You probably weren't going to get any sales this time of the year, or not enough to get enough data on it. So it's good to use things like the rank checker. Just, you've made the changes, is it ranking? That's the first thing to say. Yes, this change has been a success because I ranked for the keywords. And then give it a few months and see, are people clicking on it when they see it where it's ranking? And then are they favoriting? Are they buying it? But the initial thing when you've made the changes, it's a success, is if it's ranking for the keyword you aimed for.
All right, let's see. Okay, so question, for example, if tag 1 is sage green wall art, tag 2 is sage green print, tag 3 is green wall art, tag 4 is boho green art, does Etsy consider green as spam? No, Etsy doesn't care if you're repeating your keywords, but you don't need to do that. You're wasting a lot of space. Let's see, sage green wall art, sage green. So you've already said sage green once. You don't need to repeat that term. So print, green wall art, you've already said that, so you don't need to repeat that. Boho green art, you don't need to repeat the green art part. You could do your tags as sage green wall art, boho print. And I just eliminated probably like at least 15 characters out of that equation, so you could try some different keywords. You don't need to repeat those terms, because every single word that's in your tags, Etsy's going to mix those and match those in every combination, even if they're not in the same tag. It doesn't matter if they're in the same tag. Etsy is going to broad match them in every combination. So you don't need to worry about repeating the same terms over and over again in your tags or your title. Etsy tells us not to worry about that. Now, if you find like a keyword sweet spot, you find an amazing superstar keyword, maybe everybody is searching for sage green wall art and sage green print, and you want to exact match for those terms, you totally can do that. But I doubt that all of those terms that you've just listed are so good that you need to exact match for them or sacrifice all that character space in order to have that exact combination of terms in there. It's not spam. Etsy doesn't care. It's just for your benefit, it would be better to not do that.
Yeah, I think I understand why this question's coming out a bit more, because in the Etsy Up, was that 2 weeks ago, they had a Google, well, they said a Google expert. It wasn't. It was a person in Etsy who works on the Google visibility side of Etsy. Um, so they had the Google person and the Etsy person, and the Google person did mention keyword stuffing and how Google didn't necessarily like that. First of all, before anyone freaks out about anything, it's very unlikely your very broad items are going to rank on Google. I I would leave thinking about ranking on Google until you've really nailed in what you're doing on Etsy, because it's super difficult. So don't worry about that. And Etsy specifically says in some of its examples what Starla just said there. If you've got two keywords that are both really, really great and they might repeat a word, I think Etsy gives us an example that has the word ring in it. So it would be like engagement ring or boho ring. I don't know if they're the right size or whatever else. It's fine to say a word more than once, but in your example there, you are absolutely repeating yourself too much, and Starla gave you the perfect example for cutting down keywords.
All right. Pam, since we had a little bit of a slow start today, you want to go maybe 5 minutes over, if you're able to, and try to get a couple of these last questions?
Sure, I have no life.
All right, we will get through as many as we can in the next 5 minutes, but any questions submitted after this, we probably won't get to today. But I will be doing a live stream tomorrow on my channel. What are we talking about? I can't even remember what bad Etsy advice. But you guys can ask questions at the end of that as well if you still have them, or you can go to the eRank Facebook group, which should be linked down in the video description, and you can post your questions in there as well. Okay. Is the only way to offer free shipping is with the free shipping guarantee. I've been trying to offer buy two, get free shipping, but it says US buyers won't be eligible. For the, I don't think you can do buy two and get free shipping. I don't think that that's an option. Pam, do you know anything?
It could be. I've definitely got one of spend over £100 and get free shipping. So it could be in one of the features in ads and things. Yeah, there's with the free shipping guarantee. If you have the free shipping guarantee turned on, then all listings in your shop are eligible for whatever a boost it is that it gives. I've not seen it being very much. Most people haven't seen a big deal. So that includes items that are under $35. They would show up with that boosted thing. However, if you don't have the free shipping guarantee turned on, any of your items that are free shipping will show up in the right place. Like my listings that are over £100 show up as a free shipping thing, so that is eligible. Or items like digital items, if you had some physical and some digital items, your digital items don't have any shipping, so they will show up. Buy two, if you have a feature on for buy two get free shipping, that won't show. It would show up as eligible orders ship free, but you wouldn't get the boost because the individual listing isn't free shipping. So yes, that wouldn't be eligible, but honestly, experiment. But most people have got back to me and said when they experimented with it, the free shipping doesn't help them particularly. I don't know. Have you seen anything with that, Starla?
No, it's only mobile shoppers anyway who see priority placement for listings that ship free. So I wouldn't obsess over it. I haven't seen any significant impact of offering the free shipping versus not offering it. And some people just, some people can't offer it, and that's totally understandable. So I wouldn't stress about it either way. Experiment, see what works for you. If it doesn't end up working for you, then you don't need to do it. Okay, so we've got one last one. We should actually be able to uh, do this one and be good. Is it better to advertise 500 items or 200 items? I have 1,600 items in my store. Will advertising 200 items bring more attention to the rest? That is a lot to advertise. First of all, you don't know if any of those items are going to do good. You're trying to throw money behind a concept without understanding if the concept is good. My advice personally is to not try to advertise everything. I always say to advertise the products that are already selling. You know they're doing good. You know that people like them. You know that you're likely to make a return on your investment. Yes, advertising some of your products can help to bring people into your storefront as a whole, and it might, they might add a couple items that you're not advertising into their cart. Um, but trying to advertise 200 items, 500 items, that is, I mean, are you making money enough to cover that? Are you already making sales? How long have you had your products listed? 1,600 items, that is a lot of products. Those are high listing fees. Um, and if you're already doing well, that's fine. But usually, before you want to start investing money into ads, you want to make sure that you are investing money into your best products. A car company doesn't put ad revenue behind a car that they don't think anybody is going to line up to buy. They're going to put the ad revenue behind the cars that they know people are going to be lining up to purchase, right? They don't put ad money behind the weird little like one-off vehicles that they have on the back of the lot. They put their money behind the sports cars and the muscle cars and the big trucks and the SUVs, because they know that those are winning products. Those are their best sellers. That's what they're going to sell the most of. That's what they're most likely to make a return on their investment on. So, Pam, I know you've got opinions on this one.
Firstly, there's no right and wrong answer with ads, except don't waste money when it's not working. But it's not a case of just switching on ads and sitting back and going, Etsy, bring me my money. Be strategic, be scientific, use the data you get. Let them run for a month or two on, I wouldn't even do, unless you have tons of money and you're making tons of money. But if you haven't tried advertising yet, or your ads aren't working, do not advertise 200 items. Pick a small subset of your listings. As Starla said, your best bet to start is either the ones that are selling the most, or perhaps a new line that you haven't figured out how it does yet. Advertise those and get in and figure out the stats. Look at how they're working for you, what keywords are working. Use that data, basically. Don't just put adverts up. Go in, switch off keywords that aren't working for you. You do have that option in ads. Switch off items that are costing you far too much money. Will advertising some items bring attention to the rest? It can do. As Starla says, people might come to your shop. I do reasonably often see people who click through for one ad and they buy something different. And the other thing is, of course, if you start bringing in sales, you might start getting reviews. You might start building up your shop quality score, and that could help your shop in the long run. But don't be advertising more than you can afford to lose, because so many people are getting in touch with me and telling me they're making a huge loss on ads. some people are making a huge profit on ads. If you're the person making huge profit, feel free to keep adding money to it, you know. But if you're making a huge loss, no, 1,600 items, 200 items, that's a lot of money, basically.
All right, guys. It is 4:06 on the dot, so that's perfect. We landed right where we wanted to. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for those who dealt with all the tech issues at the beginning. We did switch to a new streaming software, so hopefully by next week we've got the kinks worked out. But we do appreciate your patience and helping us to test it. If you are new here, make sure that you subscribe to the eRank YouTube channel. That way you can watch awesome videos that Pam, wherever you are, Pam has been creating over the last few months. There are a ton of them to watch. If you've got questions about, any of the eRank tools, we likely have a video on it. But if not, you can leave comments on our videos and request more videos, and Pam will see those, and maybe she'll cover, what you guys suggest. If you end up having other questions that you want to ask, make sure that you join the eRank Facebook group, link down below. And we're not sure if we'll be here next Thursday because I might have another live stream that I have to do. But over on the Printify YouTube channel next Thursday, that will be the 8th, I'll be doing an SEO demonstration. Whether you sell print on demand or not, it's going to be a fun time. We're going to be giving away well over $1,000. It's going to be more like $1,500 worth of free stuff during that webinar, thanks to Printify. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you tune into that. And yeah, guys, thanks so much for watching, and we will see you maybe not next week.